Oh no. See, it might help if I could take this stuff off. Hang on, everybody. I swear to God, I'm put together. I'm not at all. Can you tell? I was literally trying to get something together because I have a quick little game I want to play. You want to play a game before we get started? But welcome in, everybody. It is Friday, October 7th. We're heading in. Actually, we already gotten started on week 5. Can you believe it? Everybody, this is Chase Vernon, very good friend of mine. You can find him at FF_intervention. He is going to be helping me out today because clearly I need all the help that I can get. But welcome in, everybody, to Fireside Friday. If you are joining me live, thank you so very much. And if you are watching this on a replay, thank you very much. This will be going out in my multiple weekly newsletter, if you will, that I send out from my website, stepmomlauren.com. It is free to sign up. And every time I post my content on my website, you get notified via email. If you have no idea who I am, my name is Lauren Carpenter at Stepmom Lauren. I am a fantasy writer and analyst. I could probably put this up. There you go. For those people up there, for everyone listening, that is FTN, NBC Sports Edge, Fantasy Footballers, and Fantasy Pros. I am a freelance contractor. That's what I do. I talk a lot of fantasy football. And I have Chase here joining me today. Chase, how are you? Oh, no, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
We are a mess today.
Oh, it's bad.
That's a great way to start a Friday show.
Yes. My roommate actually has some people helping her move a couple things. So I wanted to be on mute because I didn't want the background noise, but I never mute myself. So that was a little weird. But I'm doing pretty well. I would be great if I wasn't so hungover. Went out last night, had a crazy night in town with some friends. It was my first time going out because, as you know, the prep work for fantasy football and everything that we do prior to the season is a ton of work for at least a month, 2 months. And then the first 4 weeks, it's just nonstop, go. So finally got a little bit of a break last night. I didn't really care about the game because obviously the Broncos and the Colts, like I was just taking the under all over the place and it wasn't going to be that great of a game. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go have some drinks with some friends and we're actually going to enjoy this Thursday night game the best that we possibly can because.
Yeah. And you didn't miss much because that Thursday night game was, I'll tell you what, it was an exceptional show of athleticism, of poise, of accuracy. I say with my tongue firmly planted in my cheek because that was the worst game of football I think I've seen in a really long time. That was absolutely devastating and terrible and gross. Yeah.
You know what's cool about it though was like I actually won money on it.
And I did too.
I won, but I only won $10. I would have won if Naeem Hines rushed more than I think it was 11 times. I had that in 2 of my bets that I ended up winning.
I had 4 receptions 40, on Naeem Hines.
Yes. And so I ended up instead of winning $600, I won $50 on $40. So I was like, I'll take the $10. I paid for a beer.
I know that was a bad. And you know what was so crazy about that hit on Naeem Hines? If anybody missed it, it was very scary. He had a reception, which was like, yay. And then he took a hit, but it was weird because it wasn't like a direct targeting hit. I couldn't really tell if his head hit the ground very hard, but he stood up and I think his knee almost hyperextended. He could barely walk. It was bad. I mean, when you're getting up in age like we are, I don't know about you, Chase, but I know I am. So when you get up in age and you take a hit, sometimes that whiplash can cause that, concussion issues, but they rightly ruled him out for the remainder of the game as they should have, which we learned the hard way with Tua over the last, 2 weeks now. And he is officially ruled out, which is good. Also, for Commander-in-Chiefs that I'm playing in Howard Bender's league from Fantasy Alarm, you still have Tua in your starting quarterback position. I would recommend switching him out. I do that for some very good mojo because I don't like to win the dirty way, even though it's in the Dirty Laundry League. Thank you, Howard Bender, for inviting me into this league with my husband. My goodness.
Excuse me. The worst part about like this whole thing, right, was I had Naeem Hines this week. The week before that, same thing happened. I placed 3 bets on this one. So I put 60 in. I ended up walking away with 50 on the set of games that I was betting on, but I had Javonte Williams, who I just needed to have 53 rushing yards, and he ended up having 28 in 2 different bets that I ended up, it's kind of weird with my strategy with Underdog, right? Because they now have the insurance where you can actually put down money without having to risk, just winning nothing. So what I do is actually place the same bet twice. I placed one without insurance, one with insurance. So that way, if I do end up hitting, then I still make money as a whole. Like if I put down 2 bets, $20 a piece, that ends up, being $40, obviously expense. And then you end up winning 50 if you end up missing one, throughout the lineup. So I actually placed down 2 bets on every single bet that I do, one with insurance, one without. And I had Javonte Williams, but if I would have hit on that one, I'd be up 1,200 on 80 over the past 4 bets that I placed.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you bring up, and we haven't talked about the new Underdog insurance that they
Oh, it's
have going.
great.
And to me, it's very similar to what Prize Picks does on their flex play. So on the
Mhm.
flex play, you can miss one, but still make money. You can miss three and get some of your money back. But if you hit all five, of course, you get the bonus that goes with it. So I feel like this is like kind of Underdog's way of doing a flex option is having that insurance on there, which is interesting. So when we get to your Underdog picks, I'd like you to talk a little bit about that insurance when we get there. But before we do that, I have a couple of admin things I need to do. Congratulations to Scott Frankel, who won the signed Michael Thomas jersey. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, everyone who signed up for my website. Thank you, everyone who subscribed to my YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone who retweeted it, everyone who shared it, everyone who commented on it. That is how you get entered to win. So, Chase, this is going to be a little of a game, if you will, for you. I want you to pick a number between 1 and 2. That's going to
Okay.
decide what this month's prize giveaway is. So pick a number
Oh,
between 1 and
geez.
2.
Now the pressure's on. Are we gonna know what the other giveaway is if I pick
Nope.
the oh man, so it's gonna be oh, I'm so sorry if I picked the wrong one, but I gotta go number one, right? Because if you're
All
not
right, number
first, you're
1.
last, you know?
Number 1 it is. Okay, number 1. This is a signed Jerry Judy mini helmet. This is a signed Jerry Judy mini helmet. You can see that JJ right there. This is this month's giveaway, everybody. Signed Jerry Judy Denver Broncos mini helmet. It's very easy to win. So we already have a winner of the signed DeAndre Swift mini helmet. We have obviously a winner, Scott Frankel, of the signed Michael Thomas jersey. Very easy to do. Go ahead and head over onto my website, like I mentioned earlier, stepmomlauren.com. And yeah, that's if you sign up, it's free. And then you get notified of my, all the stuff that I'm doing. And if you really don't feel like getting notified, that's okay. You can just like put me in junk mail. Just don't unsubscribe. That would be uncool. But you can put me in a junk mail if you just don't feel like hearing from me. I totally get that too. But if you sign up, hey, your name is in. Another way to do it is to subscribe to this YouTube channel here, Stepmom Lauren. That's me. I am a fantasy football analyst in case you're joining late and you missed that whole diatribe. I'm a fantasy football analyst for FTN, for NBC Sports Edge, for the fantasy footballers, and for fantasy pros. And I'm here all season long with you, including into the playoffs. This is what we do. I want to make you money. If you've done both of those things already, awesome. Thank you so much. The other way you can get your name in here is to retweet this on Twitter, share this on Facebook, and go ahead and comment. Like, obviously, I already said subscribe to the YouTube video that we are recording right now. And that's how you get your name in to win. And I actually do send these out. Like, you guys will get these. So, yes, we have a signed Jerry Judy mini helmet. And then I guess November's prize is going to be hidden. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. This is what it sounds like. Can you hear it? It might be a little misleading.
Is that candy corn?
I'm going to put it right over here.
Is that candy corn? Because it sounds amazing. It sounds delicious.
It's in a bag. I'll give you a hint that it's in a bag.
We need to hook
That's
you
what's
up
going to
with
be the
some trophy
November
smack
giveaway.
giveaways. We need to hook you up with some trophy smack giveaways. We need to get.
I know.
We'll
Need
get you.
that. I
Like
know
that
Kelly
championship
Singh.
belt right there.
I know. What was I thinking? I know Kelly Singh. Wow, I should have. You know what? I'm going to reach out to her because.
Yeah, I got you. We're gonna hook you up. I got you.
See, perfect. I know. That's right. You work for Trophy Smack. So now that I've done my whole thing, everybody, please sign up for my website, all the things that I did so that you can have a chance to win this. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. I want to grow my Instagram as well. So you can follow me over at Stepmom Lauren. But Jace, I already told where you can find you on Twitter, which is FF_intervention. Where else can they find you? What are you doing? And tell the good people where they can find your work.
Oh man, you could have found me out at the bars last night, but I mean,
besides the bars, I'm going out right after this, so I feel you.
Oh man, it was rough. But no, you guys can go check out all my content over there on Twitter, as she mentioned, at FF_intervention. You guys can find a lot of my written work actually for Player Profiler, along with another show that kicks off.
One of my favorite websites ever, by the way, is awesome. Player Profiler.
It is like the way they actually have that website, like organized, the way that Matt actually built that website.
Amazing.
It's so user friendly. Like the interface, it's like an iPhone versus the Android essentially. But then you also have the in-depth stuff. Like you know how iPhones are kind of like simple and like you can't really do some things that you can with the Android. You can do all that stuff with Player Profiler. So it's awesome. It's a great site to work for.
Are you throwing shade on iPhones?
No. Wait, what are you talking about? So no, I actually have an iPhone, but no, and we have a show. I'm doing a show today at 6 p.m. Eastern time with Jacob Sanderson. We're doing our DFS breakdown for Roto Underworld Radio. You guys can go check it out over there on YouTube, of course. 6 o'clock, be there. And then yeah, work with Trophy Smack where we do all sorts of fun shit with like crazy trophies and all that stuff. So
I
it's
love
exciting
it.
and it's fun. High energy.
I love it. I love it. All right. So we're going to get right into this because I don't want to keep you any longer than we absolutely have to, everybody. We're going to go ahead and do our prize picks and our underdog pick'ems. Also, I forgot to mention this. Another way that you can get into the contest to win whatever paraphernalia that I'm giving away. Memorabilia is actually what I meant. Here you go. Underdog SML, as in stepmom Lauren, for underdogfantasy.com. You get your first deposit of up to $100 matched. I know you have heard that a lot on different TV commercials and all that kind of stuff. But if you use my promo code, it helps me out and that helps you out because you guys get your first deposit of up to $100 matched. It's like free money. So if you put in $50, you get an additional $50. You put in the whole 100, you get $200 to play around with. It's pretty awesome. And also, as I mentioned, one of the companies I work for is FTN, and they have some amazing content over there, like all the stuff that Jeff Radcliffe does, who's an absolutely amazing dude. You can also use my promo code SML to get 20% off any package. That also includes DFS stuff. It includes projections. It includes rankings. It includes betting the edge, which is also daily fantasy and betting stuff like we're going to do right now. So I'm going to go into this.
Lauren, you're the
I'm adding this.
plug.
No, this is mine. Is this mine
You're
or is
the
this
plug,
yours?
Lauren. Like we just come to you for everything. Like
I know.
you
Thank
just have the
you.
hookup.
I know.
Like,
Just SML. Just when in doubt. Except for Price Picks, I don't
yeah.
have one for Price Picks. But if you do want to sign up with Price Picks, you can use the promo code FTN to
I
get
did it.
your first deposit of.
Did
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Yes, I did that. I signed up. I put $100 in, and it actually matched my deposit. So I got $100 in addition to it. So now I'm pretty much playing with house money. With that $20 bet that I just put down to get my prize pick up that I have right here. So
I
on my
love it.
iPhone.
Oh yeah, okay. So I have an iPhone too because I was like, you throwing shade. I'm an Apple girl. That's kind of how I work. But I was gonna say we might fight. Like it's a thing between like the Android PC users and then the
Yeah.
Apple Mac users. But I really don't care either way as long as you have a functioning device. Who cares? So let's
I got
hop
a
right
razor.
in to our Prize Picks. And if you guys have not heard of Prize Picks before, it is very easy peasy to do. It is simply over unders, and it's not just football. They've got a ton of sports on there. You can bet, you can literally choose between 2 to 5 players, bet what you want. It actually tells you what your payout is going to be. You have a choice between a flex play, which is what I normally do. That means if you miss one, as I mentioned before, if you miss one, you still get a payout. If you miss two, you get some of your money back that you bet. But if you hit all 5, you get some pretty decent bonuses. The power play means you have to hit all of them because if you miss just one, it's not going to work. So I usually like the flex play because I like the flexibility. See what I did there? But here is my flex play. Now, I do this also for FTN. I have a show called Wind Up Wednesday. I do that live every weekdays on Wednesday weekdays, what I meant to say, called Wind Up Wednesday. Lots of W's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And the prize picks that I did on that, I did a flex play. So I hit 4 out of 5 on that. So instead of winning $100, I did only win 50, but I still won 50 because I only put $10 in. So technically I won 40. That's pretty darn good. So I really like these heading into this weekend. So let me walk through. If you guys can't see this, you might want to zoom in on your screen just a little bit. But Nick Chubb. Now, I know this is contrarian because look, I did the less. I know, right? And I know they're playing up against the Chargers, which have a pretty crappy defense right now, especially against the run. But this line was a little spicy for me. The line is at 92.5. Now, I know that Nick Chubb can run and run and run and run and run. But here's something that's really interesting about the Chargers. They are terrible against running backs that are receiving running backs. So I have a feeling that this is going to be more of a Kareem Hunt game as opposed to a Nick Chubb game. Now, is he going to do really well? Yes. I obviously he's going to be an auto start in your lineups, but I chose the under on this one because I don't know if that 92.5 is reachable. If that makes sense. I think he's going to get close, but I think this is going to be more of a Kareem Hunt game than it is going to be a Nick Chubb game. I know, contrarian, a little crazy. What do you think about that one?
So I went through your picks, right? And this was actually the only one that I really strongly disagreed with. In fact, I was
It's very
with you on most of
contrarian.
them. Yeah. And although I don't hate it because it is a high number, right? Like we don't see too many running backs. There might be maybe 5 running backs that see a 92.5 over under for just rushing yards alone. And I do agree with you in terms of the Chargers defense. And in addition to that, it's like you still have Kareem Hunt. It could end up being a Kareem Hunt week. All it takes is a couple runs, and all of a sudden, Stefanski ends up pretty much just leaving Kareem Hunt in the game for multiple drives, like throughout the series, versus just kind of altering him in. But with that being said, we've seen Nick Chubb succeed in multiple different occasions. And this could actually be the best matchup that he has throughout the entire season, and at least thus far throughout the season. Because when we look at the Browns offense, right, like their total yards thus far has been 403, 376, 405, 355 thus far in the season. They played Falcons, Steelers, Jets, and Panthers. In terms of like their pace of play, the Falcons ranked 15th, the Steelers ranked 14th, the Jets ranked 18th, and the Panthers ranked 17th. So, pretty much middle of the road type teams. The Chargers defense, meanwhile, has been very up-tempo. They're one of the Chargers offense has been very up-tempo. They are one of the fastest pace of play teams in the league. I believe they're 6th overall. And so far, they've allowed 320 yards, 319, 413, and 346. They've gotten gashed on the ground overall, but essentially, like, how could the Browns not hit at least 350 to 400 yards in this game with the fastest team they played against, with a defense that is reeling after losing Joey Bosa, of course, with a game script that should allow this team to be competitive? How do they not hit 300 to 400 yards in this game? And honestly, like, I'd love the over for Jacoby Brissett, but I don't see how Nick Chubb doesn't at least get, a massive chunk in this game. So I actually have the over for Nick Chubb. But outside of that, like, I loved your every other pick that you've had.
Yeah, and so I peek behind the curtain. I actually have an identical lineup with the over on Chubb.
Okay. That
So
makes
I
sense.
actually did go both ways because I was like, but there was something about this line that spoke to me. It
It's
was one of
high.
those gut calls. You know what I'm saying? Like when
Yep.
we do fantasy football, a lot of it is it's all educated guessing. Because if I knew what was going to happen tomorrow, I would not only own Belize, but I would own the world. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but there was something about this line that spoke to me here. So I liked it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go a little contrarian here, and I do like the under mostly because of what you were saying. And I also think that they're going to be in a little bit more of a negative game script. So I think this is going to be a little bit more Jacoby Brissett targeting David Njoku, targeting Amari Cooper, targeting Donovan Peoples-Jones, targeting Kareem Hunt, and maybe less so on the ground than what we've used to seeing the Chargers give up. So to me, this could go both ways because I 100% agree with you. But then I was like, but there's always that one chance. So I made another one too. It was only $10. So I got $20 on basically the exact same one, -1. So let's go ahead and go through the rest of these really quickly. I have James Robinson. This shouldn't come as a surprise, you guys. James Robinson, they're playing against the Houston Texans. They are abysmal against running backs. And for me, I really like looking, especially on Price Picks, I like looking at the combined of rushing receiving because you're not stuck on just receiving yards. You're not stuck on just rushing yards. You're looking at a combination of both of these. And for me, I thought this line of 74.5 was quite low, but I know why they did it is because James Robinson isn't a volume producer, which is one of the reasons why I liked this was rushing and receiving. I don't mind Travis Etienne in this matchup, but I think this is going to be a heavily utilized James Robinson game, while I think Trevor Lawrence gets his confidence back after a pretty poor showing last week. So I'm going the over on James Robinson here, 74.5. Now, knowing my luck, which has happened to me about 6 or 7 times, he'll probably get 74 combined rushing receiving. Like that literally has happened to me so many times, drives me bananas, but this is why it's gambling. We're guessing here, folks. This is a lot of luck is involved with this, but I'm going to go ahead right to the next matchup here before we dive into your stuff. Jalen Hurts. This was interesting. I was like 1.5 passing touchdowns. Okay, against Arizona. I was like, especially they're so weak against the tight end position. Dallas Goedert is a must start for me. Absolutely love him as well in DFS plays. So Jalen Hurts I took the over on this one. I understand that he uses his legs a lot to rush into the end zone. That's not a surprise, but he also throws very well too. So for me, this line was pretty juicy. Also, another pro tip too, everybody. The earlier you get your picks in, the stronger these lines are going to be, because as we get closer and closer to matchups, they will change the line. Now, the line is 1.5 touchdowns. The line is 74.5 rush receiving yards. That's what we call a line in case you're new to the over-unders, in case you're new to prop betting. So they will move these. So it would not surprise me if Jalen Hurts is at 2 or 2.5 closer to game time. So I'm glad I got in there and saw that 1.5 passing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. My next one here, I said this on my show, like when it came to Matt Ryan, there are certain things that are very, very certain in life, and that is death, taxes, and Matt Ryan throwing an interception. And at this point, we're kind of there with Matthew Stafford too. So I like the half of an interception. So if he throws one, you're going to hit the over on this. They're playing against the Dallas defense, guys. And even though last year they were a laughing stock last year, they're not this year. They are coming to play, and they're coming after Matthew Stafford, and they're coming hard. They want to prove themselves with Cooper Rush at the helm, and that defense is stepping up hardcore. So I don't think that this is a stretch for Matthew Stafford to not only get sacked another 7 times, but likely throw an interception while he's trying to force feed Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. So this one was an automatic over for me. And my last one, speaking of the quarterback position, I know it's Carson Wentz, but I'm going over on 234.5 passing yards because they're going up against one of the worst defenses against passing quarterbacks in the Tennessee Titans. And I have a feeling that he is going to want to sling the ball to Curtis Samuel, to Terry McLaurin, to Logan Thomas, to a lot of these guys that are going to be getting him some points here. So that is my prize picks. And again, this is a $10 bet. I have a chance to win $100 because I have a flex play on this. And if I miss one, I make 50. So I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that's too bad.
It's pretty solid. I like it.
Excellent. All right. Now this is your underdog, right? Or is this mine?
That is not mine, but
Okay, we'll go to yours. We'll go to yours then. All right,
Okay.
so this is we're moving away from prize picks. We're going to hop right into Underdog Fantasy. Remember, use my promo code SML to get your first deposit up to $100 match. Helps me out, helps you out. But talk to people through these amazing underdog picks because I really like these.
All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is Justin Fields because I can't stand Justin Fields. I don't think that he's right for the NFL in this system. Like, it was like the worst possible place that Justin Fields could have gone was to the Bears, and he ended up with the Bears. And instead of, giving him weapons in the offseason like they did with Garrett Wilson, like they did with Tua, they gave him nothing. Like, I feel so bad for this guy. And the thing is, he can't read blitzes. He can't pick up the schemes very well. And you see it, it's evident, but it's not like he has time to do so because he also has no offensive line. So it's like, okay, where does this guy win? Well, this week he could actually win in terms of the rushing yards, right? Like, I'm not talking about going out there and rolling out in fantasy, right? But Fields has been scrambling at an unreal rate. He has seen 17% of scrambles, or he's seen a 17% scramble rate on dropbacks, which is first in the NFL. He also attempts only 67% of the time a pass on a drop back due to the sacks and receivers also not getting open. He also has the least amount of dropbacks for any quarterback who's played 4 games, but I will say that 60% of those dropbacks, or 60 dropbacks because he's only had 100, have come in the past 2 weeks. So hopefully we start to see that, sort of increase. Meanwhile, the Vikings, they've converted a lot of their pressures into sacks. They're only creating pressure on 19.5% of the dropbacks to opposing offenses, and they've converted to 9 sacks, which is extremely high rates, or extremely high conversion rate, excuse me. So with that being said, I don't think that their conversion rate is going to stay where it is. I think that we're going to see Darnell Mooney and the rest of the Bears receivers be able to get downfield a little bit. And what happens when you're able to force the secondary off and you're able to get the linebackers off from the middle is Justin Fields is going to have wide open lanes to run through. So we're going to be able to see him at least see 6, 8, 10 scrambles, somewhere in that range. We saw what happened with Hurts in week 2, I believe, where he saw 11 scrambles, rushed for 57 yards, I believe, off the top of my head, or maybe it was 47. Either way, it was more than 39.5. I think that we're going to see Justin Fields smash this and get close to 60 rushing yards this upcoming week. So I'm really liking Justin Fields on the over for the rushing yards. Meanwhile, Jacoby Brissett, we talked a little bit about how we're going to see a lot faster gameplay for this Cleveland Browns team overall because game script, yada, yada. We've already discussed that. There's no way that Jacoby Brissett doesn't get at least 209 passing yards or 210 passing yards. I think that's given. I think that's a free play.
That was so good. When I saw this one, I was like, how did I miss this? Oh my God. That's a great
Crazy,
line.
right?
That is
It's
such a
crazy.
juicy line. I love
And
it.
for me, I like to correlate my lineups. Like I didn't do a great job of showing it off in this one that I sent you. And I messaged you afterwards. I was like, oh, I'll have some correlative, more correlative
Yeah, he
plays.
tried to use all sorts of big fancy words, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Just like throw some picks together, man. He's like, I'm gonna make them more correlative. I'm like, I don't do math. I don't know what that means.
Well, essentially, like you want your lineups to have a game plan, right? Like, for example, you're not going to have Michael Pittman going off and Nyheim Hines going off typically in the same game because you're not going to see a lot of offense, especially from the Broncos. So, you want your lineups to an extent to tell a story. So I do like my lineups to correlate. However, with my lineups for this Chargers game, I only had two options to pick from. So I had the Austin Eckler over under, and I had the Justin Herbert over under. And if I don't like it, like if I don't let me rephrase that. If I don't love it, I'm not going to put money on it, right? So
Right.
I do want to see what happens with Keenan Allen. If Keenan Allen plays, which I believe he's likely to, then I'll probably have a bunch of shares of him to help correlate more lineups because I want the Chargers to be scoring at a high rate so that it forces the Browns to get into a hurry up type offense. We're seeing Jacoby Brissett probably put up 50 yards in the last 5 minutes of the game minimum in his passing attempt. So I do think that Jacoby Brissett obviously hits the over, and I'm going to be playing a lot of Keenan Allen. That Nick Chubb, meanwhile, at 89.5 rushing yards, I think is a smash as well. I think I got it probably a little bit earlier than you because so many people were taking the over that kind of pushed it to 92.5. So I'm hoping that he at least hits that rate. I think that he sees a big chunk in this one. Hopefully, Kareem Hunt doesn't steal too much of the work. Meanwhile, we have Pat Fryer.
Yeah, let me interrupt you just real quickly.
Yeah,
So he
of
brings
course.
up a really good point here. So if you notice, I had the under on Nick Chubb with his line, which was 92 and a half, right? That's what we said, or was it 93?
Yeah, it was 90,
the
90 yeah, something like that.
Now, when he did his, this was on before the Thursday night game. So Nick Chubb's line is less, right? So like that's how these change. So as we move closer and closer to these matchups, Prize Picks and Underdogs, they will change the line with each new thing that comes out, and they're going to start looking at, like you said, who's hitting the over, who's getting the under, how much of it is where. So earlier you do these, the better. Continue.
Yeah, I try to get mine in literally on Monday. Like as soon as they come out Monday night, I try to get in my early bets so I can beat the crowds before they start pushing the line. But typically I'll still put in 2 to 3 bets minimum on Saturday after the lines are pushed because maybe I like something that's contrarian to what everybody else believes. So I want to take the under on that, such as Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's line was at 62.5. I was going to take the under and I waited because I knew that everybody would be targeting Michael Pittman because that's the only receiver in this offense outside of Alec Pierce right now who's doing anything. So I knew that his line would end up getting pushed up. So I waited and waited and waited. And I actually put this bet in, I think on Tuesday night or Wednesday when I saw it hit 65.5. So after it dropped three yards, I was like, yep, I'm taking it. So, or I'm sorry, not drop, but increase. So yeah. And then Pat Fryermuth over there with 35.5 receiving yards. We've just seen him be a pivotal part of this offense. The secondary for Buffalo's, they're playing great as a team, but they still allow points to the tight end position on a regular basis. Pickett's throwing downfield. All it's going to take is 2 catches for Pat Fryermuth to actually see 35 yards pretty easily. So I think Pat Fryermuth absolutely smashes this week.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that pick. Let's say hello to some of our friends here. We have Emmanuel Lucero. Hello, welcome in.
What up?
Albert, you are just the best. Thank you so much for joining me. He hangs out with me all the time. Such a cool dude. Lauren, am I sick? Get well soon. I was not feeling very well. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it was like post traumatic stress from dealing with Hurricane Ian, which the little tiny amount that I did over here on the East Coast. Also, thoughts and prayers out to everybody who is dealing with the aftermath of this. If anyone would like to check out my timeline, there's a GoFundMe for our very good friend Faithiness, who lost everything. She really did. And if you want to donate, even just sharing the tweet is helpful. So just, thoughts and prayers out to everybody there. And playing Hines was rough. I faded him anyway, just because I didn't like the matchup and I didn't think that this was going to be a big rushing game for him. But let's just hope that he's okay because that was ugly, and let's hope he gets well soon as well. And let me go ahead. Whoop, whoop. There we
My
go.
series of
Look
events
at that.
for the past like 2 days has been brutal because I played Naeem Hines, or I should say in the Scott Fish Bowl. I picked up Boone and picked up Caleb Huntley, but I spent 60 combined fab dollars on them and nobody bid more than $15 for either one. So I overspent for those two guys because I just was trying to keep them away from other league mates. And then I played Naeem Hines in the Scott Fish Bowl. So I got my
No.
2 day span has been crushed. I
Mm.
am completely destroyed right now.
Yeah, that stinks. Let me run through this really quickly because we do have a lot of really good questions coming in from the crowd, and I want to be able to get to those before I have to let you go, Chase, because I don't know if you can believe it. 30 minutes have already gone by. This is insane.
Woo.
All right. So one thing that we know about Zach Wilson from last season is how much he hearts and adores Elijah Moore, but especially Corey Davis. So this 3 receptions for Corey Davis was silly. That was easy over for me on the Corey Davis. He's a thing. I used to be such a Corey Davis hater, and now he's a thing on the Jets with Zach Wilson. Who knew? But I love Zach Wilson, that little Abercrombie and Fitch model. He's so cute.
God,
I love him, and I love the way he plays football. And then we have Dameon Pierce. Finally, everybody, stop freaking out about Dameon Pierce. He's fine. Okay, look how good he is. All right. There's no Rex Burkhead. He's not a thing. Don't worry about it. Marlon Mack is not going to be a thing. Don't worry about it. I don't even know if he still plays for the Texans. I think he got cut. Anyway,
49ers.
Dameon Pierce. I have him as a higher on 82.5. And remember, this is rushing and receiving. So I'm covering both of my bases here with the rushing and the receiving yards. Again, I'm not going to shy away from this James Robinson pick. I absolutely love this. I think this is a smash. Higher than, again, I like this line even better than I like the other one. 77.5 rushing and receiving yards. I mentioned Carson Wentz, how I think that he's going to throw for over 230 and some change. So on this one, I did go ahead and I got the Terry McLaurin side of this. I think he's going to get higher than 59.5 yards. I know that is spicy because we're going to have to rely on Carson Wentz here. But again, this is against the Tennessee Titans defense, which is terrible against quarterbacks, is terrible against wide receivers. A couple big plays, Terry McLaurin's good. I mean, literally, he needs 3 big plays. And you're good to go. And again, Dallas Goedert, I mentioned him earlier when I talked about Jalen Hurts and how much I like him in this matchup, especially against the Arizona Cardinals, who are also terrible against tight ends. So I have him over on the 4 receptions because I thought the yards were a little much. So I went ahead and I looked at the receptions. Anything on this one stand out to you as a yay or nay, Chase? Oh, you're muted. Muted.
Sorry, I did it again.
I know. We're such rookies over here. Look at us.
I know. God, it's so bad. All right. So I love the Corey Davis pick. I love the Terry McLaurin pick as well. And I do want to bring up something that just hit. Rashad Bateman's out. I think Underdog just pulled the line just a second ago, but maybe Prize Pick still has it up. Take the over on receptions or receiving yards for Duvernay. So
good call. Ooh, my husband will be happy to hear that. He has Duvernay.
So I would take the over on that, or even Mark Andrews to an extent. I'm not sure what the over is, but I would probably still take it regardless.
Oh, nicely done.
I would, also Geno Smith rushing yards is way too low. He has 14 rushing attempts on the season so far that are designed rushes, not scrambles.
Nice.
I'm sorry, he has 14 rushing attempts. 4 of them are scrambles. The other 10 are designed rushes. So he's getting 2.5. Yeah, he's getting 2.5 rushes per game. I mean, you're going to see 8.5, yards, no problem with that, especially when you have Cam Jordan, rushing in your face, getting you out of the pocket. So he's going to see the rushing yards, and the design rushes will be there as well. And then Tom Brady, oh my God, have you seen his stats up against Atlanta since coming to Tampa Bay?
Oh, it's big. This is going to be a get-right game for him. He's going to feel real good about himself after this.
368, 4 touchdowns, 276, 5 touchdowns, 399, 4 touchdowns, 392 touchdowns. I mean, go smash that over on fantasy points.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. And good point, too. And always remember, everybody, keep ahead of what's going on with injuries and news, because that's going to change not only your regular redraft fantasy lineups, so your dynasty lineups, whichever one that you are doing, but it's also going to make a huge difference when you can get in on a line before this news breaks and everybody figures out about it. Well, actually, not before it breaks, because you won't know about it if it doesn't break, but you know what I mean. Let's go ahead and get into some of these questions here. This one I really like because DeAndre Swift is unlikely to play. Not only he's dealing with all sorts of stuff right now, and I don't think that DeAndre Swift is going to make it. Amon-Ra St. Brown is still kind of up in the air right now. He did return to practice, but we don't know to what extent that I've heard of as prior to this show. He did return to practice, but I don't know if that was in full. I don't know if he was limited. But Jamal Williams or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm going with Jamal Williams.
Are you? That's interesting because
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is now playing, focal point in the offense where Jarrett McKinnon was in on passing downs to help block and whatnot when he wasn't supposed to run the routes. Well, now Clyde Edwards-Helaire is getting trusted to do that. And up against the Raiders, who have been brutal, on defense as a whole, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. And I kind of want the game that's going to be higher scoring versus like the Patriots who are going to put up points. I do like Jamal Williams, and honestly, I feel like you're in a winning situation regardless of which running back you play.
I feel like there isn't really a wrong answer, right? It's like two right answers, just which one is more right than the other.
Yeah, I think I just want the guy in the higher scoring offense, to be honest.
So and that that makes sense as well. I think I'm leaning more Jamal Williams because of the touchdown upside that I think he has over Clyde Edwards-Helaire with Travis Kelce in that offense. But again, these are two right answers. So really go with your gut. I know that's one of those really annoying answers, but this is who do you want to see do better? And who do you want to see do okay on your bench? I mean, that's really going to be what you're the most comfortable with there, Albert. But thank you so much for asking. Dicer007, how are you, my friend? I'm doing well, as always. Mike Gogarty, I love you, Mike Goggs. How are you doing? Who to flex? Let's see, Brady, Hunt, or Hall? Which Brady are we talking about here? This is interesting.
Tom Brady? Like,
I don't know.
If it's super flex, like you got to go Tom Brady.
You're going Tom Brady no matter what if it's super flex. So I don't know if that's who he meant or not. Mike, did you do anything differently that? Yeah, no, I don't see anything else. But if it's a super flex, you're going Tom Brady no matter what. I do love Kareem Hunt over Breece Hall. So yeah, just because of it's matchup dependent. It's matchup dependent for me. I love Breece Hall, and I think if you have him in a redraft. You're talking about your flex spot right here, right? So Breece Hall, that matchup is gross to me. I don't like it, but he is becoming super involved. But Zach Wilson really likes to sling it. I don't know, man. I'm really digging this matchup that Kareem Hunt has. And I think he's going to be one of those sneaky featured options. Again, I think this is another two right answer situation, but I am leaning Kareem Hunt over Breece Hall. But it's going to be Tom Brady if this is a super flex.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah. Tom Brady, 100%. Let us know in the chat, Mike, of course. Make sure you'll hit subscribe on her YouTube channel as well while you're here. But
yes, please do.
Now, Breece Hall, for me, he's breaking out. He's seen the targets. I think he's leading the league in targets for running backs, or at least he's up there right now. He's in the top 5, if not number 1. He saw 6 targets last week, 11 targets week before that. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, oh my God, have they allowed just a numerous amount of targets to the running back. The only one that they didn't allow a ton of targets to was up against the Ravens, which we all know Lamar Jackson doesn't really pass the running back as often, especially before J.K. Dobbins came in. So we're seeing 9 targets to running back, 17 targets to running back, 6 targets to running back from Miami. I think Breece Hall sees at least minimum 6 targets in this game, and I'll take the guy with the PPR upside, which, yes, Kareem Hunt has that as well. But I'm right there with you. I think, once again, we're talking about 2 right answers. It's like the upside for me is just stronger with Breece Hall.
Yeah, it's like, how rich do you want your chocolate cake? Sorry, my dog is barking incessantly. It's my poor husband is having to deal with him. Real quick, do we know if Everett is playing? I know he had the questionable tag, but I have not heard that he's been ruled out. Have you, Chase?
I have not, but if you go to your next question, I'll let you know by the time we get finished with that one.
Excellent. And by the way, it was Tom Brady, Kareem Hunt, or Breece Hall. So no matter what, it's Tom Brady. You're going to be starting in your super flex. Not even a question. So Emmanuel, pick 2. And 1 pick must be a wide receiver. Okay. We got Dameon Pierce. Love it. Lenny Fournette. Love it. Curtis Samuel. Love it. Chris Godwin. Love it. Standard league. Ooh, standard. I like this. I'm going to go Curtis Samuel and Dameon Pierce here for you, Emmanuel. No, I lied. I'm going Chris Godwin and Dameon Pierce for me. I like Chris Godwin's upside on the touchdowns, but it's standard, man. Ooh.
Yeah, that's where it throws a kink in there where I might.
And one has to be a wide receiver.
That's tough. I'm going to stick with you. I'm still going to go Dameon Pierce, but Leonard Fournette is close. And if one has to be wide receiver, it's like, okay, do you take Curtis Samuel or do you take Chris Godwin? I paid attention to the injury report. I'd probably take Chris Godwin over Curtis Samuel just because of the matchup.
Chris Godwin is a full go. He was fully healthy.
Is he? Okay.
Full go in practice. He is 100% ready to go from what the latest report said before I hopped on.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll take Chris Godwin then over Curtis Samuel. I do like the Washington Commanders essentially in this matchup with Tennessee.
Commanders.
I'll take Terry McLaurin in this one. I'll take De'Ami Brown as like a sleeper in deeper, leagues. Probably not starting them regardless, but I'll take those guys. I don't think they do much against slot receivers.
Yeah, I hear you. This is also from Emmanuel. Should he trade Leonard Fournette for Alvin Kamara? Interesting.
I'm gonna go with no. This is tough, but like they just don't seem like they want to utilize him the right ways, and he doesn't look, 100%. I think I'd stick with Leonard Fournette, to be honest. What about you?
Yeah, I would do this. I would do this because I think that you know what, maybe I wouldn't. I think you might. I hate this. Trades drive me bonkers because I always go back and forth, but I have a little bit more faith in Alvin Kamara. But we're really not quite sure what's going on with this offense. If this is a keeper league, I for sure would. If it's just your regular old redraft where you just redraft a new team, I think you might want to shy away from that. But again, these are two really good options. And don't forget, Playoff Lenny is called Playoff Lenny for a reason. He keeps getting better and better as the season progresses. So if you wanted to trade away Leonard Fournette for Alvin Kamara, I mean, wait until he has a huge game after this week, and you might be able to get like a wide receiver 3 that you can throw in on a matchup base just to make the pot a little sweeter if that's something you want to do. So I don't think it's necessary for you to have to do it. But if it's something you want to do, I don't hate it, if that makes any sense. And thank you very much, Brett Thunderstruck. Did great on my picks last night.
Love it. So
All
Gerald
right.
Everett is practicing. He came up yesterday with a hamstring injury, I believe. And that's tough. Like you don't normally see somebody practice the day after hamstring injury, but we've been seeing a lot of these injury reports where they're using these metrics where it's like, okay, if you do a certain amount of work during practice, then you are more susceptible to an injury, XYZ. Like, and they literally measure what types or what areas in your body are susceptible due to what practices you're doing. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like literally
Sports science
in
is crazy.
Joku. Yeah, in Joku, you know how he went out or whatever, like with an injury, quote unquote, it's because he did too much work that focused on, I think it was his groin or whatever area it was. The catches that he was making and stuff like that ended up increasing his likelihood of getting injured. So he sat out last week. Maybe it was his knee. He sat out last week and everybody went and picked up Harrison Bryant, or at least I did. And turns out he was just resting because he was more likely to see an injury because he put so much work on that over the previous 3 days during practice that they measured that he was more susceptible to that knee or whatever it was getting injured. I'm like, what the heck did I just read? Like,
that's crazy.
It's insane. It's nuts. So it's essentially rest day, I think, for Everett is what it's looking like more so.
Yeah, and they always like if you have a hangnail, you have to show up on the injury report too. So it's kind of misleading. But let's go ahead and run through some of these real quickly here. My good buddy Brett Thunderstruck. Thank you again for joining me, my friend. Is it time to drop Russell Wilson? He sat him for Derek Carr this week, but now wondering if he should drop him and pick up Winston or Trevor Lawrence and play matchups. I like Trevor Lawrence over Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I do too. I think Lawrence is breaking out. This is the perfect offense for him. This is the offense we wanted to see him in. And, last year was unfortunate because it was the exact opposite offense we wanted to see him in. But I think that Trevor Lawrence is probably the guy I'd want to pick up. But if it's single quarterback leagues, I'm probably not, holding to. If I have Carr, I'm just rolling with Carr.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I know a lot of people like to roster 2 of them. So honestly, I would rather have Trevor Lawrence over all of those guys except Derek Carr. He's literally the only one. Well, not literally the only one, but among those that you were talking about, he's that one where I'm like, I still like Derek Carr because I think he can give you a pretty solid floor. All right, Calvin Brown, thank you for joining me, my friend. Another super good friend of myself and of this show. Thank you so much. Jeff Wilson Jr., Damian Harris, or Rashad Penny as his RB2 in full PPR. I am fading Penny this week.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm fading Penny this week, and I think I'm going to lean Damian Harris for his touchdown upside.
Yeah,
I do like Jeff Wilson Jr. too, but I'm going Damian Harris.
I can definitely understand fading Penny up against New Orleans. It's interesting because you might still see the volume, but we could see Geno Smith, pretty much be the running back in this matchup, especially if he has to drop back 40 times in this matchup, which I think happens. I'd probably go for Damian Harris. And it's just the one. Cool. Yeah, Damian Harris.
Now yes, exactly. Damian Harris all around. I'm gonna ask you to check out the line on Olave. I did not see that off the top of my head. So Chase, if you could check out the line for Chris Olave. Brett Thunderstruck says, Michael Thomas is out. Jameis Winston is doubtful, means he's likely out. What is the line on Chris Olave, and would we take it? So while you look at that, I'm going to go ahead and go down to the next one. And then,
63.5.
ooh,
I would take it.
I would take that. I would go the over
He
on
hit it
that.
last week, right?
Yep, he did.
Yeah,
And it's
67.
going to be force feeding him. So absolutely, I would take
I
the
think
over.
it was that was the line last week was 63.5 or 59.5. It was one of the two.
I think it was in the 50s, 59.5.
Yeah, it was within 4 points of that. So
Yeah,
like
at least I looked at that one. I
he
would do
still
it.
ended up hitting it on 3
Smash over.
receptions. Do it. Over.
Excellent call on that, Brett Thunderstruck. We're smashing the over. Calvin Brown, he was, quote, forced to start only one QB this week in a Scott Fishbowl 12. Should he start Trubisky? No, thanks. Oh, I see what you were saying. Okay, yeah. All right. This was for the Scott Fish Bowl, is what we're talking about here for Calvin Brown. So never mind. We'll go on to the next one. Dicer 007. Pierce or Olave at the flex? Your upside play here is going to be Chris Olave. Your safety in a very high floor, but a safer floor is Dameon Pierce. So I think that's just going to depend on what your roster is going to need.
Yeah, I agree with that. Honestly, Olave might have just a high floor. I'm taking Olave, I think, in both.
Yeah, that's not bad. I just, for some reason, I usually tend to lean a little safer running back because I really want the points, because you never know with Andy Dalton. What time is this game at?
1, I think.
Okay, so it's not primetime Andy Dalton.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay, good. Then I would be like, avoid Chris Olave in all circumstances. All right, Scott Brown, he needs to start 2. Jamal Williams, Miles Sanders, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, or Tony Pollard. Do you want me to? Can you see those on the screen there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely going Jamal Williams for me. And I'm also going to go Breece Hall. I'm going to go Jamal Williams and Breece Hall.
Okay. I like Breece Hall's lock in this one. And then the Eagles. Eagles face the Cardinals, who have like the worst rush defense in the league, or like bottom 10, I think. I'm going to take Miles Sanders over Jamal Williams. I actually, Miles Sanders is my 1. Breece Hall is my 2. Close third is Jamal Williams.
Yep, I like that. I usually tend to fade Miles Sanders, but he is doing a much better job with his red zone touches, which is what we like to see, which he did not really see much of last year. And when he didn't do anything with it. That's why he didn't score a single touchdown. But he has started to bounce back this season, which is always good for the Eagles, as well as Miles Sanders. I still am so hesitant on him that I'm going to go with what I think is a little bit more surefire with Hall and Jamal Williams instead. But again, this is how rich do you want your chocolate cake to be? And Mike Gogarty, yay. I love you for loving this show. Tell everybody where they can find you again, Chase.
At FF_intervention over there on Twitter. And then, you guys can find me over there with Trophy Smack, Player Profiler. We have our DFS show at 6 o'clock over there on YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/Roto Underworld, I believe. But yeah, go check it out over there. 6 o'clock with Jacob Sanderson. The kid's brilliant.
Yes, absolutely. All right, 2 more questions here. We're going to do another one from Brett Thunderstruck. So that's actually not his name, but when I read it, one of my first Fireside Fridays, I thought it said Thunderstruck. So he actually changed his name to Brett Thunderstruck just for me. At least that's the story that I'm telling myself, and I'm sticking with it. In half PPR, he needs 1 running back and 2 flexes between Khalil Herbert, AJ Dillon, James Conner, Kareem Hunt, that's mine, and Robert Woods. Interesting. I'm going all 3 running backs.
Montgomery.
I think he's good.
Is he? Okay.
No. I'm going AJ Dillon, James Conner, and Kareem Hunt in half PPR.
Okay, I like AJ Dillon a lot this week. AJ Dillon is so Dave Montgomery returned to practice yesterday. So that's going to knock Herbert out for me. I don't want to touch the running backs and the timeshares for the Bears just because I don't think they're going to run enough plays. I just think it's going to be a very slow moving, slow pace of play game that just drags on. I don't think there's going to be enough opportunity to see fantasy points. So Khalil Herbert's going to need a touchdown. So I'm going to take AJ Dillon, James Conner, Kareem Hunt.
Yep. Excellent. I totally agree. I do love Khalil Herbert. On his own, he has excellent standalone value. But out of your choices here, AJ Dillon is a lock. James Conner's a lock because of his volume. And Kareem Hunt, I love his upside against the very porous against pass-catching running backs, Los Angeles Chargers. All right, and we will do one more. This is from Larry M. Larry, thank you so much for joining us today. I just appreciate everyone taking their time out of their day to come join us, and special guest Chase Vernon over here. You need one in PPR. Najee Harris, Dameon Pierce, Deontay Johnson or Devonta Smith. So I'll read those again. Najee Harris, Dameon Pierce, Deontay Johnson, Devonta Smith, full PPR. I'm going to go either Devonta Smith or Dameon Harris. I can't believe I'm fading Najee Harris like this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Najee Harris. I've faded him hard. I don't think I have him in a single league, including my 500 best ball teams that I have. I don't think I have him in a single league. I might have him in one share that was like an auto draft or something. So I'm out on Najee. But pay attention. I think that if the what is it, Shelton and Ed Oliver, I believe, are the two defensive tackles. They've been hurt for the past 2 consecutive weeks, and the running backs have gashed the Bills in the middle. It's still not crazy because the Bills have been up, so like you're not getting a ton of usage from the running back. But essentially, if these guys are out, which I don't think they will be, I think that at least Ed Oliver is likely to play. If they're out, I might play Najee Harris. But no, I mean, it's going to be either Dameon Pierce for me or Devonta Smith.
I still had my underdog picks on there. Like, why didn't I make us full screen? Look at what a moron. I'm over here looking at the comments and not paying attention. I just wanted everyone to see this small version of my head, so you can't see how bad my makeup looks.
Stop. Yeah, I'm going to take. Oh God, this is tough. I'm going to take Devonta Smith up against Cardinals. That defense is just brutal.
Yeah, so for me, I have 2 options here. If you need some upside, I really like what Devonta Smith is going to be able to do. I think the Cardinals are going to be focusing what limited secondary they have on A.J. Brown, which I still think is going to have a really good game, which leaves Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. It's going to be a feast for Jalen Hurts. So I'm not worried about that. Your upside play is going to be Smith. If you want to stay a little bit safer, if you really just need some volume and some points, I don't mind playing Dameon Pierce. Those are your 2 options. I personally, no risk it, no biscuit. Go ahead and go with Devonta Smith. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I can't believe we almost went an hour, Chase. The time just flew by.
You not normally do an hour?
No, I usually do. Well, I mean, it's anywhere between like 30 to 40 minutes, just depending on, how it goes,
I just can't believe like you brought me on after Rosalie, who I absolutely love, and then Bob Harris. Like, how am I supposed to stand up to those guys? I hope I did all right.
You did fantastic. What are you talking about? Yeah, Bob Harris is fantastic. If anyone ever has a chance to do so, please do yourself a favor and go to Canton, Ohio for the Fantasy Football Expo. You don't have to be an analyst to go. You can be a fan of the game. You can be a consumer of the product that is fantasy football. Shout out to Rachel for her insight on that, because she is a fan, but she's like, I'm not a fan, I'm a consumer. And I want to make sure that I find the best analysts, the best people out there that I want to follow. And I'm lucky enough that she is now a very good friend of mine. Rachel, thank you so much. And that's how I got to meet Chase in person. We've known each other virtually for quite some time, but we actually got to hang out in person, which was really nice. And the first thing that he said to me was, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, my God. And Howard Bender and Scott Engel and I were over there just dying laughing because Scott was leaning over every 5 seconds because he's like, he said Chubb. And I'm like, Scott, stop it. Like every single time someone said anything, he would lean over, and Howard and I were trying not to die laughing. So everyone thought we were the biggest assholes on the panel because they're making me laugh and I'm trying not to laugh. I'm also hungover. It was a bad day. It was a great day, but I felt terrible. It wasn't very good. It was very good. But thank you so much again for joining me, everybody. Don't forget, you can sign up underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SML. You get your first deposit up to $100 matched. On Prize Picks, it's FTN. Sign up for my website. You guys get a chance to win a signed Jerry Jeudy mini helmet. I will send that to you out at the end of this month if you are the lucky winner. Everybody, good luck in your week 5 matchups, and also good luck in your week 5 over-unders over on Prize Picks and over on Underdog. Take care, everybody. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which is a lot. But be safe doing it. Have fun, guys.